You're listening to Cooper Talk.
Welcome to Cooper Talk. I'm your host, Steve Cooper, and remember, I'm only as hip as my guest. And I got to tell you something, people. My birthday's coming up, and what's funny, when I did my research on my guest today, his birthday's the day before mine. But my birthday's coming up, and Joanne said to me, she said, what do you want for your birthday? And seeing we just got married, we got so much crap at the bridal shower, half the boxes aren't even open. I said, don't worry about it. We'll just go to sushi. So when you ask me if my life is exciting, well, I'm going to sushi for my birthday, so make your own mind up. Anyway, we have a great show today. My guest, I'm very excited to talk to him. Actually, I saw him play in South Jersey at the Vault in Berlin about a year ago or 8 months ago, and he's in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, and he's legendary. And my guest is Denny Laine. How you doing, Denny?
I'm doing well. How are you, Steve?
I'm doing well. Now I got to ask you. As I said, you were in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. You were an original member of both the Moody Blues and Wings. You've toured the world. You've performed in front of millions upon millions of people. What does someone like you do for their birthday? Because I believe your birthday is the 29th.
Well, it's usually wherever I am. That's the first thing. So, you can't really plan things. You know what I mean? I'm sure something will happen. But, I just kind of do it wherever I go. And, we're on our way to Florida, actually, so probably do something on the way. So, I don't know.
Now,
I just play it by ear. That's the way it is. Birthdays are, they're great, but as I say, I don't think about it, really.
Now, you've been a professional musician for years. When did you start performing music? Were you a young kid? I mean, what got you into playing music?
Well, the first live thing I can remember doing was I was 12 years old, and that was an old skiffle number, a Lonnie Donegan song. It was big, in England. And I was just performing at this event, this Birmingham Institute event, as a little solo kid with a guitar, and that was my first real taste of it. So, I was in bands after that. I was at school in bands and eventually got to turn professional. But really, I just started very, very young, just playing around the house, and picked up a ukulele and got into listening to music. My sisters had a lot of records, so I was really very much influenced by their stuff as well.
Now, I heard you were inspired, I don't know if this is true, by Django Reinhardt?
Yeah, very much so. Not that I can, I was inspired by, that was the kind of music that was around in the day. And it was all the classics, but the gypsy jazz thing turned those classics into their version of jazz, And I always had, my dad comes from that kind of background as well, going way back. But I always had this thing for gypsy jazz music, and still to this day, I'm still learning. So, but it was just, it's like Spanish music. I like that too. I like flamenco. So I kind of studied all different styles of guitar, really. And I suppose my influences have made me, myself after a while. And you pick up on all these things, then you become, you do your own thing.
Now, you were 12, you said you're young when you started. Now, when did you start writing songs? Was that something that you did later in life?
Yeah. Well, again, not first band, but the first band that had any success in Birmingham, I had Bev Bevan from ELO on drums, and so I was kind of in this band that was pretty big in Birmingham. And we used to do a lot of obscure stuff, R&B stuff, but at the same time, because we didn't want to just do all the pop stuff like everybody else. But at the same time, I started to write, and that's the first sort of taste of it I got. It was always a bit weird stuff, though. I wasn't very commercial, if you know what I mean. But but then I went on to writing with Mike Pinder from Moody Blues, and it developed from that, really, to do my own thing for a while, and then working with Paul and writing with him. So, it was a very slow process, but that's what I do now all the time.
Now you said the Moody Blues. How did that band form? How did you guys meet? What happened? I mean, how did it all start up?
this was a situation where I wanted to turn professional, and my band, the Diplomats they were called, didn't want to turn professional. They all had jobs, except Bev and the drummer. But anyway, the two guys just come back from Germany, same sort of clubs the Beatles were playing in. And, they're older than me by a few years, so they wanted to put a band together, and I was available, I suppose, because the word got around that I wasn't, I wanted to move to London. I was ambitious. So, anyway, they approached me, and instead of going back to Germany, which is what they wanted to do, because there's a lot of work out there with the American forces, bases out there and all stuff, and all just English music was very big out there. But instead of that, we got discovered and taken to London, and it all went from there. But the first tour we ever did was the Chuck Berry tour, so that was very, very big and very good for us. And we just went to a completely different level as soon as we moved to London. We had great management too, though.
So you get the band together, and now how do you come up with the name?
Well, that's a funny story, actually. I do a lot of solo shows as well, and I tell this story. I think, well, I don't want to bring you down, but the Moody Blues used to be called the M&B5, and the M&B stood for a brewery in Birmingham called Mitchells and Butlers. So it's kind of funny that, people think of the Moody Blues, wow, that's a cool name, but it came from that, and we got known as that. So I think it was Mike Pinder was big into jazz, and Mood Indigo was an album he had, so he kind of worked it out from there. I thought of the blues a bit, but it doesn't matter, because we were a blues band, actually, to start with. So Moody Blues kind of fitted. But, when you look back now at all the names, it's a pretty good name, really.
Yeah,
so it was just out of the fact that we had to do it, change it.
Now, what was the music scene like back then? Who was your competition, should say? Who was else trying to get record deals? What was the scene like at that time?
Well, there were a lot of bands in Birmingham, so that's one of the reasons I wanted to move. And there was no music business per se in Birmingham, my hometown. It's only 100 miles north of London, but they were just starting to build sort of infrastructure of music, build record labels or whatever, magazines, things like that. The Drum Beat was a magazine that just started. But anyway, once we got to London, we weren't part of that scene anymore. Our competition, friendly competition, was really all the London blues bands. I mean, the blues artists and all the people that came from out of town like us and settled in London to do the same thing, to be discovered. So it was all sorts of different, we met people like Jeff Beck with Rod Stewart, we met, we met the Beatles down there as a band, but I'd already met them before, but we met a lot of bands like the Animals that came from out of town. We sort of became part of the thing down there, but it was all friendly competition, and everybody was trying to outdo each other. We played a lot of gigs together, actually. There's a lot of doubles. So it was all that, and like the Stones, we did a tour with the Stones a bit, and then they stole a couple of the songs we used to do on stage, and things like that. But other than that, it was all good fun, It was great. It was nice to have people and the clubs who you could sort of talk with about, music and all sorts of things.
Now you said you started off as a blues band, pretty much blues. Now, is that why you left? Did you want to keep going in that direction, or what happened? Like, why did they change the sound?
In a way. Well, let's put it this way. Like, Birmingham is not known to be like that kind of music. It's more poppy. It's like if you want to get a gig, you got to play all the hits. And there's only us and Steve Winwood and Spencer Davis group, really, that were doing that kind of music. And we knew that there was going to be more of an appeal and more work for that down in London. So that's one of the reasons I wanted to go. But obviously, when you're around all those people, like we played with Yardbirds, Eric Clapton, and all those people, and I never met all the people. So we were developing our style away from the like the writing thing came in, and there was it's sort of, a mixture of every bit of music, style of music, and then we developed our own sound. We had a piano, we had a lot of vocalists in the band, so we had a different sound to a lot of people, and so that's really what it was.
Now,
it was based on.
Now you left, and then I know you started the Electric String Band. Now, how did you find people? Because it's different now. Like if someone wants to find a band now, they can just sit there and put a post up on Facebook. But for then, how did you find the band then? Because it's a big city. You're in a big place. There's tons of musicians. How did you find that band?
Well, everything has been word of mouth with me. It's just mostly stuff has come to me, if you see what I mean. But in this particular case, I wanted to do something a little bit different. I was at the stage where the Moodies just wanted to stay on the road. They weren't doing too well. The album didn't sell that much. They just wanted to make money. So I said we should be going to the studio, and we owed Decca a record, an album anyway. But anyway, I went off and started doing some writing, and I thought, well, I was very much influenced by, obviously, George Martin and Paul McCartney because of their fusion with Eleanor Rigby and things like that. So I thought, well, wouldn't it be good to just have a few strings on stage? So that's what I did. I got a trio together. I sort of auditioned a couple of guys in the studio. I wrote a song called Say You Don't Mind, and that became the song that I used to audition with. And then I got some connections to the Royal Academy of Music through the same manager, the Moody Blues. And then we sort of had auditions for them. They came in. They'd never done anything like this before. They'd certainly never had pickups on their violins and cellos. So, developed that, and that became this big thing. And actually did a great gig with Jimi Hendrix and Paul McCartney and John Lennon and Peter Asher, who was a good friend of mine at the time, and still is, was in the audience. So, it kind of led to me getting a bit to gig with Wings, I think. And I know that Paul, the word got back that they liked it. It was a good show. And that was with that string band. So it was just me being experimental, really. But I was using what was going on, I was being influenced by what was going on the music scene anyway. Everybody was trying to do something different those days.
So you also at that time ventured into solo recording, right?
Yeah, I just wanted to just do something different and write. And that's all it was. I'd been in a band. I'd always been in bands, except when I was a kid. And then I did a couple of things then. But, so I just wanted to do something on my own. And I did it for, a year or two. Went to live in Spain for a while. Got a lot of influence from that kind of music. It just kind of kept off away from the scene a little bit in some ways. But then as soon as I started doing the circuits and, the fairgrounds and whatever, I started getting popular. But it was, those guys got laid off. And actually, they were going on a world tour with the orchestra. And so I got laid off. And I wasn't working at the time. And Mark Bolan was sort of a friend, and he was talking to me and said, when are you going to go out and do some work? I said, well, I'm waiting for the band to get back. I'm not touring. He says, well, people are missing you, man. Things like that. So it made me think. So I just kind of, went and joined up with Ginger Baker and did that for a bit. And that was something to do. And then I get the call from Paul. So that was just kind of the way it went,
Now, how did you meet Paul earlier? I mean, you said you knew him from the scene.
Yeah, no, in Birmingham, Bev Evan actually just contacted me. He said, "Do you remember when we played with the Beatles in Birmingham?" And we did. We opened for them. They were just starting, really. We played on a revolving stage. We went off. They came on, and I met them to talk to in the dressing room and stuff like that. And, but then again, never really. Just played the gig, and then we met them again in the Moody Blues in London, from big time in a club, and we became friends from then on. Right from the beginning, we became friends. So I already knew Paul and all of those guys well before I joined Wings.
Now, what is it like, to have a Paul McCartney get in touch with you? And it's not like now it's a cell phone. I don't know if he left you a message. But what is it like for him to get in touch with you, to have you join his band? I mean, he's a Beatle. That's like, you don't get bigger than a Beatle. What was that like for you? Were you excited? Were you scared? What was it like?
I mean, like I say, I already knew him anyway. But to me, all those guys, they made it big time and all the rest of it. But they were just guys in bands, just like everybody else. So it was really just that. And because I knew him, I knew it would be pretty easy to work with him. Because, you just don't want to just work with everybody. You want to have, and of course I was very much, I respected and admired his music as well, especially his songs. So, I mean, I just fell into it. I didn't think of him being a Beatle. I mean, I went to a few Beatle sessions and stuff like that, but they were more like friends. They used to come to our house, play us their demos and stuff. So we were just friends in a way anyway, so I didn't think of it that way at all. When Benny got in touch with me, I was pleasantly surprised because I was doing nothing, and I thought, well, this is going to be fun. At that time I didn't know he was going to have, like, his wife in the band. I didn't know he'd got Denny Laine already lined up because he played with him on the Ram album. I didn't know he'd already got an idea for a band. But anyway, I just went up there, and it was easy, really. We just knew all the same stuff, we just jammed and played and got friendly again, really.
Now, what were the writing sessions like? 'Cause I know you did a lot of writing with the two of them. Was it something that you would all throw ideas around, or someone would have an idea and say, let's do this? How did you formulate songs?
Yeah. Well, there's a few different ways that it would happen. I mean, one of the main ones that we had a huge hit was Motherfucking Tire, but Paul already had that chorus. Now, if he got that chorus, that was the song for me. And even though, and I encouraged him to sort of continue with it, he says, well, what are you thinking about? It's a Scottish thing. I don't know if we should do a Scottish song. I said, no, we should. So we went and wrote the rest of it the next day. And that was one example. It was one of the biggest things ever that we ever did. Now, another example was we would go to Spain, for example, for a week on a bit of a working holiday, and we'd just get together and write whatever came into our heads, or what we're going to write about. Let's write about that view over there, and let's write about the people in the hotel, whatever. You would just come, because you treated it like a job, really. You were there to get something done. And so that's one way of doing it. And then I would have some bits, or I'd have couple of songs, and he would say, well, why don't we join them together? Which happened on one song that we did on Band on the Run album. And it would all be different. I might have some words, and he might have a tune, or the other way around, and that's how it just depends. When you treat it like a job, and you've got to get something done, you actually do. It becomes serious then. So that's kind of how we were very, very, it worked well. It was very proficient the way we got it together.
Now you join the band, and they're going to be a hit. What is it like when you start touring? Because people are going to come see you. You don't have that you don't have to worry about that. But what is it like to be joining a band that are going to be a hit right from the beginning?
I've got to tell you got some good questions going here. Well, again, there's a challenge, but you don't really worry about it. All you do, really, is you do your own thing. That's all we ever did. We weren't particularly influenced by management or record labels and stuff like that. A lot of people were, of course, but we never were. We never really took any notice of what people said we should do. You just do your own thing. And then that's a little bit what that was like. We knew that we would get better. A new band takes a while. I mean, you can't just become an overnight success as a band unless you've worked together for a while. And that was a problem. We had to build that into playing, so we played live a little bit. But basically, it was something we knew we would have to just persevere and we would get there in the end. But we didn't expect it to be, we're up in Scotland, we didn't work in the public eye so much. So nobody knew what was going on a lot of the time, and we just carried on until we got good. And then, of course, we then went on a tour, and we had very good followings, and therefore, we had to rise to the occasion.
Now,
go
ahead. Before that, joining the Wings and your other bands, what was like the biggest size crowd you played to earlier in your career?
Well, we did do the odd thing where we did the Enemy New Musical Express. It was a thing all the bands did, but it was in Wembley Arena, so it was a big crowd. But that was very rare. I mean, nobody used to do arenas in them days. But the limits we did ballrooms, and ballrooms are always packed because people like to come out dancing on Saturday night, and get drink and dance, and so we played a lot of those kind of places. But we only really started to get into the theatres when we played with Chuck Berry. And because of Chuck Berry being so big in England, they always just do the theatres. They don't, movie theatres. So we did a whole tour there, and then that built up to, of course, me doing the thing with Wings, which is arenas.
How do you transition? I mean, you're transitioning from, as you said, you did Wembley, but then you're doing theaters, but then you're transitioning to the Wings where you're playing arenas. How, as an artist and a musician, do you acclimate to that?
Well, you take it all in the stride. I mean, it sounds, blasé for me to say that, but you really don't think about it. You just think, we've got a gig. We're going to be going on tour. And you knew that you had the guys, you had the equipment, you had the, it was done on that level. And like every gig was the same as the other gig, really. It might have been a different town, but you just got used to it. And the first time you do it, I just think, wow, this is amazing. Like, I think Seattle was the biggest crowd with about 80,000 people when we first started. And I thought, wow, this is big. But you get used to it. It all starts out off with other tours where you're going around doing, outdoor shows and stuff like that. But you really don't think of it as being anything amazing, really. You're just playing, that's all you're doing. But, sometimes I wish I could be in the audience watching what was going on, because, you're kind of watching the audience. But you're not really thinking about, you're just getting... You're more concentrating on being good, getting your harmonies together, all that stuff. It makes you rise to the occasion. Let's put that. That's the best way I can describe it. You really do have to be on your game when you're playing to that many people. Well, you do anyway, but that excitement level just puts you right there.
Now you're touring, and you're touring with a Beatle. Are people getting fanatic when you guys get to the show? I mean, could you guys go to regular hotels or a bus, or did you travel separately, Paul and his wife? How did that work? Because people just have that thing about the Beatles that they still go crazy.
Well, we all travel together most of the time. I mean, we did one tour in Europe where we had an open top tour bus, but that was just a gimmick, really. But, we'd all travel together. And on tour, we would have private plane, but most of the time we'd all travel. Me and him and Paul and Linda would mostly travel together anyway. I mean, because we were always doing separate things apart from just the band thing. But no, we all travel together. And he had, obviously, a lot of attention. And he knew how to handle it. He knew how to deal with it. But I think in the Beatles, he was more used to other people stepping in and, sharing the limelight with him. So I think he had a bit of difficulty with it to start with. He had to be, it's tiring getting all that attention. So, I've got to praise him. Looking back at the way he handled it was very, very good. But as I say, I was on the outside looking in more. But again, I was getting a lot of attention too. It's not like I just came off the street. I'd had some success as well. So I mean, we had that kind of friendship thing, like a little family type friendship of knowing, how to deal with all that stuff. So it was something that we kind of grew into, but it was different for him, as I say, than being in the Beatles. But it was another lease of life, really.
Now you're in a part of a big band. Do people start coming out of the woodwork wanting stuff from you, and then do celebrities approach you? What was that part like of being in such a big band?
Well, again, it's hard to visualize this, but if you think about the fact that we were, in a big band, but we're just ordinary people, really. Still deep down ordinary people. And when we were up on a farm in Scotland or whatever, or hanging around people's houses, whatever, we were just like ordinary people, without all that attention. So we kind of relied on that all the time. We weren't, I don't know how to describe it really, but we didn't feel like stars, if you see what I mean. I mean, that's what I mean, just to say that again, I didn't quite get what you meant, but it's just very, very easy, really, when you know people. You don't feel like any different to anyone else. You know what I mean? But when they're coming on to you, trying to be, I don't know, all of a sudden they want to know you and they didn't before. Is that what you're getting at?
Yeah, exactly. Like all of a sudden, you have your fifth cousin who you never talked to showing up to a gig going, "Hey, can you get me backstage? Come on, you remember me. We played soccer together."
Well, you do get that. And you do feel a certain amount of pressure from that, but you just get used to saying, no, you have to. but at the same time, you do try and help people too, as much as you can. But you've had enough experience of being in bands and being a certain amount of success that it's built up to that. That you know how to deal with it. You don't just let people walk all over you just because you're famous and rich. Well, I suppose I did to a certain degree, I must admit. But again, it's all part of you learn as you go. That's all I can say.
Now, when you were playing with Wings, you also were recording solo. How did you balance the two with your writing styles?
Well, I wasn't really recording solo during the Wings period. I had one album come out, but that was done before I joined Wings. It just wasn't released until the first couple of years or something. But then again, I never really did anything solo during the Wings period. In the 80s, I started to do a lot of solo albums and stuff like that. But everything, it's like working with people from another town. I mean, Paul's from Liverpool, I'm from Birmingham. You end up almost speaking the same language after a while. You even sound the same, use the same phrases. The accents become very, very integrated, stuff like that. So a lot of the songwriting that we did, and it all, it kind of followed on after I left or doing my own solo stuff. I always still had those influences. I was part of that whole thing, because we work so close together. You're going to pick up a lot of people's, ideas and whatever. Just the way it is, you become that similar personality.
Now, what happened with you leaving the Wings? Why did you leave? And I know they broke up, at that time, but what happened?
There was nothing more than just the fact that, he got busted in Japan. And I felt that was going to be hard to go out on the road again, as a touring band, we'd really built up to that point. And this is the third lineup of Wings now. We had two other guys. And it was going to be the beginning of a whole nother big touring situation. And that kind of knocked that on the head. So I thought, now it's back to the studio again, and now it's back to, waiting until we all can get visas again and go out and do this again. And sure enough, it took him a while to get back out and do it, but I just thought, well, that's it. I'm going to go and do my own thing. And so I did, and I wanted to do my own thing for a while anyway. I mean, I'd already been continuing to record with Paul, don't forget, after the Japan thing. But, I just decided I want to go off and live in Spain again and just take some time off. That's really what it was. And all the pressure of being in the band, I needed a rest, really. It was all a bit too much. So I did, but we never really fell out. Just drifted apart a little bit, but not really. And it was time, after 10 years, it was time to do something else. That's all.
Now, you said, you went to Spain and you relaxed. For someone who's was on the road, has been playing, is relaxing for you, was it really relaxing, or were you sort of antsy to get back in the studio, like you say to yourself, I'm going to relax, but then you're going, well, I can't just stop writing. What was it like for you?
Well, that's good, too, because it wasn't really relaxing. Of course it wasn't. It's going away and sort of licking your wounds and sort of, recharging your batteries. That's what it is. But as you're doing that, you're being influenced by other music. In other words, traveling is all part of what we do. And traveling is like the lifeblood of a musician. That's where you get all your inspiration and everything from, especially writing. But anyway, and I wanted to go and see what it was like. I'd been there before, and I wanted to just get into the lifestyle again. I mean, at the time I was there before, I hung around with the guys who was actually a Vietnam draft dodger who was studying, in Spain and France. He was studying flute and flamenco guitar. So I hung out with him and I learned a lot from him. And so I was really just, not just relaxing, but I was having a different lifestyle. And really, you forget then about everything that you were doing because you're putting everything into a new thing. But it really was a fact that, I was enjoying doing that. But at the same time, I was getting pressure from England. Come back to England, get something together. People wanted me to work again. And so eventually I did. But at the same time, I had to be out of there for a few years. It was actually one of the reasons to get away from the British tax, which was too much, but that really wasn't the main reason. But it all helped. And so, I was just wanting to get away and to just recharge, really, that's all.
Well, you did a bunch of solo albums, and when you start doing a solo album, in the first one, do you have a band that you want to back you up in mind, and then do you change pieces, different musicians when you were doing more albums, or do you pretty much keep the same core of people?
Well, that's another good question, because at that time, I didn't really have any band members. I mean, I did one album with Steve Holly on drums, and then he's the guy who played in Wings, and he was a neighbour. I also did one album where Rick Wakeman was on it, and Chris Slade, who's ACDC, yeah. But I've done albums. Most of the albums I did, I played a lot of instruments on them. I mean, I still like to have a real drummer or a real bass player so that it would sound like a band. The feel was there. But then a lot of the overdubbing I would do myself. Because I was kind of experimenting. I learned a lot from being in the studio, working with Paul. And so now I was in more of a position to produce and write and use my own money to take my time to do it. And I would go in there with a great engineer. That was the secret. To get a guy who was used to being the old school guy, like Decca or EMI, but also was up to date with what everybody else was doing at that particular time. At that time, it was the 80s. But they knew that was the beginning of electronics to me. So anyway, I would go in with that. and then I would always come out, slightly different album each time, but I never really got into having a band as such. But I was experimenting with few musicians, but mostly in the studio with a good engineer, really.
Now, when you do an album, when you're doing a solo album, you're writing, you said, you needed a good engineer. Do you know when the album's done? Do you sit there and go, this is it? I am not writing anything else because I have the meat. It's all done. How do you know when it's done?
Yeah, well, you don't really. You just, my thing was always to not dwell too much on each track. We were always a little bit like that. We had open-ended studio time, and it can be dangerous to do that because, you can you get to the point where you've heard the song too much and you just can't decide whether you like it or not at the end. But, the idea is to go in, because the old days used to go in there for 3 hours, 3 songs, and then you'd be out because that's all they would pay for. So, but now, you have too much time. You've got to know when to say that's enough. And it's usually down to the first take or the second take and say, well, that was the best take. Now we've done 10 more. We've wasted all this time. But, then you go back to the original one. But again, it is, you get to the point where if you're not careful, you put too much stuff on a track and it can ruin it. So, but you would always, you learn. And then when I'll listen to an album now that I did years ago and think, oh, I shouldn't have done that extra verse on the end. Should have made it shorter or whatever, So you at the time, you just fly by the seat of your pants, really. But you go in there to get it done as quickly as possible. Because after all, you've got to learn the song. You learn the song as just you with a guitar or you with a piano. And then you go in there knowing the song. But again, then the overdubs is the things that you're experimenting with or whatever. But really, to overdo a song, if it goes away from the original song too much, it loses something. So if you can't do it just on your own with a guitar, it's not going to be that great if you put too many tracks on or whatever. A song is a song, but it can be ruined by production.
Now, as you were going from recording solo album to recording another solo album, how was your writing style changing as you grew and evolved as a musician, or what happened there? Yeah,
it would change according to whatever my circumstances were, where I was living, who I was with, whoever inspired me or whatever. The music of the day mainly, because if I was like admiring who some artist or whatever, then I might be influenced by something I've heard of theirs. Or you would just, you'd be on a plane and you'd looking out the window and some idea would come to you. It's all about, it's like meditation writing, You have to have that little bit of peace of mind and quietness, and then there's nothing else going on, to be able to sit down and actually put something together. And then it develops into a song or one way or another. And then once you've got that song, like I say, you try and keep it that way. Don't be influenced too far away from it. But most of the songs I write they're sort of mostly fictional. I mean, it's something to do with the people and the place, but it's never really that. It's more, it's experimental. It's kind of taken everybody's situation and making it, a little story. See what I mean? I mean, it could be political in one verse, and it could be a love song in another verse, but it could be a bit of everything. Dylan was really good at that. So he was a good communicator. Whatever was going on in the world, he would throw into his songs, and that's what you do. You're kind of an eye in the sky. You're looking down, in a way, when you're writing. You're thinking about what everybody's going through, what's going on in the world, and you kind of have all those different influences. And And so that's how it would be with me. From album to album, it would depend on that. But basically, what I'm doing is I'm improving too as I'm going. So you actually you're playing more, you're writing quicker, you're improving your techniques in the studio and all that. So each one is slightly better than the last one. But again, I didn't get the right, management or back up behind it or take it seriously enough for them to ever be chart worthy. But for me, it was just a way of getting something done. I wanted to get something out there, and I've still got all those songs, and I still go out and play a lot of them now.
Now, what came easier for you, lyrics or music?
Well, I was always pretty good at lyrics because in school I was very interested in history, English language, stories, Shakespeare. I mean, silly enough, but I grew up 20 miles away from where Shakespeare was born. I mean, England is a land of poets anyway, so it's all a bit like that. So you're all very, very influenced by, of course I came from a family of quite a few people. And my parents are pretty old when I came along. So I had a lot of, advice and whatever. I mean, I learned a lot from my family as I was growing up, and I was writing even in those days short stories and things like that. I used to like English class at school, for example, and the music, of course, and history and geography, anything to do with music and travel. I was interested in. So there, from that, I would mix the lyrics more with as I was getting better on playing the guitar. Then I would get better at the lyrics. It's kind of, but usually the lyrics come first. That's usually the way it works. But then now it'll be I'm just sitting around playing, and I'll come up with a guitar riff or something like that, and then that will inspire. I might just have a title, and that will inspire the rest of the song, the actual guitar part. And then you write the words around that piece of music. So it's one or the other, Or sometimes you'll just do a little bit of little 2 lines of lyrics and 2 lines of music, and then you'll build it together. I mean, those are the different ways of doing it. But as I say, when you treat it like a job, and you just don't want to dwell on it too much because it can get too confusing, and then you just throw it away. So you just got to think, well, I'm going to get this done now.
So you're doing this...
Sorry, go on.
No, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, but sometimes, I might write a lyric, and then a year later I'll finish the song off. I mean, I was watching something with Vince Gill the other day where he wrote something when one of his best friends passed away, and then he didn't finish it off until his brother passed away. I mean, that's a sad story there, but that's one explanation for how he came up with a song, which was a great song. And so, you can have something sitting on the back burner for a long time, and then all of a sudden you think, I'll resurrect that. Yeah. Or somebody might turn around and say, I like that, and then you'll just add to it.
Now you're playing, your solo career, but then also you got involved in the World Classic Rockers. How did that come about? And that's like, an earlier supergroup.
Yeah. Well, I wasn't really something I planned on doing. I was offered the job. I was in England at the time, and I was, I was involved in something. It was more like a musical that I'd co-written with someone, and I was helping the school to put that together. It was their kind of, it was a show that we wrote, and they were going to perform it for 2 weekends, and so I put a lot of work into that. And then some guy got in touch with me and said, do you want to do the Beatle Fest, or whatever it was, in, I think it was LA. But anyway, I decided, not really, But then this guy says, well, I've got a friend who's got a band and he wants to put some guys together. And they're all names. And they, would you be interested in that? I said, well, maybe. So anyway, I came out to just kind of investigate that possibility. And the big weekend was on as well, I think. So anyway, I met these guys, and they're all, you know, a couple of them from Steppenwolf, and they're all from kind of good bands that I liked. See what I mean? And so I liked their music, so I thought, well, why not? And I just got into that. But again, you know, I think I left it too long. I was in there for too long, and it kind of takes up your time, all that stuff. And I wasn't getting enough real fulfillment out of that. I mean, I could have taken more time, you know, and gone in the studio again, but really I was just kind of concentrating on that, which is what I tend to do. But I think I was in there for a little bit too long, but it was fun while it lasted, you know.
Now, as an artist, what's the difference between being solo and being in a band? There's got to be a big difference, but then your talent is the common denominator.
Well, like I said before, if you write a song and you're just performing it on your own, you know, you've just written it, that's the song, right? But when you go to a band to play it, it doesn't end up like that song. It ends up with everybody else's influences on it, whatever, or whatever. But that's what you maybe enjoy being in a band for, because you want that extra input. You want, you know, it's more fun to have a great groove going with the bass player and the drummer, for example, who gets a really good feel and makes you perform. You know, so when you're used to being in a band, it's very hard to do it on your own. It's harder. But again, if you say, well, this song's a song and you can do it either way, then you get used to that. So therefore, I've done that, and I like both. You know, I enjoy the solo gigs. I love the band gigs, well, especially because the guys in the band I've got are really good players. So I know I can rely on them to come up with some great bits, you know. And also, I'm doing a trio gig next month in Florida, and I'm going to be looking forward to that, because trio gigs too are really good, because you all get a chance to really play, you know, to extend yourself really. So that's really what that is. So I'm not just a solo artist, I'm not just a band member, but I kind of like both. And also, you know, anything gets boring if you do it too long, so it mixes it up a little bit. So there you go.
Now, November 16th, you did the trio, the Denny Laine trio, is at the Funky Biscuit in Boca Raton, and it says a mix of Moody Blues and Wings songs. How are you guys? First of all, what is the trio? What are the instruments you're using?
Well, just bass and drums, but my guitar player from my band is a bass player. So we're going to be doing some stuff where he'll play guitar as well. I'm not going to be using keyboards on this particular gig, but for further on down the line, I might start using keyboards as well. So it'll just be swapping instruments as well as just being, you know, bass, drums, and guitar. It's just, again, something that I enjoy. I enjoy other people kind of, you know, showing what they've got. You know what I mean? It's like they're restricted in some ways when they're playing with a lot of people, because they got to play the same thing every night. But when you're doing stuff like this, they get to, you know, open up, and it's amazing what people can do when they're on the spot. So I love the trio from that point of view.
Now it says
that's going to be fun.
Oh, it says a mix of Moody Blues and Wings songs. Will you also throw some of your solo stuff in, or how will you pick the set list?
Yeah, no, absolutely, I will. Well, you know, I don't do like a Wings, Moody Blues. I got a band actually called the Moody Wing Band, and we do the Band the Run album, and we do some songs from the Moody Blues first album, which is the one I was on. So that's more of a show. But when you do it, this kind of thing would be, you know, a lot of my own material. And I'm finding out more that there are more people that know my stuff than I even thought there were. So, I mean, I throw in a couple of songs that that nobody knows. New songs. I've written a song about Paul, and it's called Below the Waterline, and it goes down really well. And then a couple of other songs that people have never heard, but they're just on the merit of the song and the story behind it. They like to hear new stuff. So I just try to concentrate on that more than the other stuff. But I do throw in the things I'm known for that I did on Wings or Moody Blues album. So I kind of mix it up a little bit. But it's good fun. The solo thing is really fun because you get a lot of people, giving you ideas, throwing questions at you and whatever. So, I mean, that's a very good audience participation thing to do. I like to keep it as much music and less talk, but, it's good fun, really.
Now, November 30th, you're playing the storyteller songs and stories. How much will be stories? How much will be songs?
Well, that's what I was just saying. I like to keep it more music. But there are, there's a bit of name dropping going on. It's just the way it is. The stories behind the songs, basically. That's all it is. And how they came together or what they were about and whatever. But generally speaking, again, it's songs I can sort of change it around. I can throw in an old one or a new one or whatever as I feel. You're not tied to a set list so much. No, even though I do kind of now have more of a set list as it develops. I have the option, I have that luxury that I can throw in whatever I feel like doing at the time, or if somebody shouts at a song, I'll do it. That kind of thing.
Now, you have 4 dates with the Moody Wing coming up, and you have why are they Moody Wing dates and not the trio dates? Is there a certain, is the trio more experimental, or why can't you do both?
Well, I mean, it's just the logistics. I mean, my band's based in LA, and they're coming out to do, they don't just come out to do one gig, they come out to do set gigs, and these are things that people want. They've requested that show, and therefore we're doing that. But the trio thing came around actually as a result of somebody wanting a band, and my guys weren't available. The two of them were. So, but I was always planning on doing trio shows, but this is how this one came about. But I will move that around. If I have to use different people, I've got a drummer in Florida, for example, I'm going to be using further on down the line. I mean, whoever's, available, really, to throw something like that together quickly, then I will do that. It's just really a case of me wanting to just keep working. I don't want to take any more time off. I'm kind of sick of sitting at home not doing things like I've done in the past. So I've made these 3 shows up to fill out my time. But I know that, I'm going to meet a lot of great players by doing this trio thing, for example. And, maybe add a few other people down the line just as guests to come along to different shows and guest on stage. Actually, I've done that before, but this is the plan anyway, and I'm looking forward to the trio thing very much because I've never really done that for a long time. So it's going to be fun.
We have to wrap up soon. I just want to ask you, what was it like getting inducted to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame?
Well, we were just talking about that, and obviously, I can now vote. I've just got this thing through the post where I've got to vote on certain things. I find that very difficult to do because there's so many great bands. There's so many people who deserve it, and some more than others. I mean, in my opinion, anyway. But it's usually based on the kind of style of music that they're playing that I would want to vote them in. But I've never been able to do that before, so now I can. It's like I'm a member of the Grammy Museum too, the Grammys, so I can do that too. And it's nice to be in that position. But really, having eventually got into the Hall of Fame, which we never expected. I mean, I never expected to. I always thought the other Moody's would get in because of their, success success that they've had. But I never thought about it from my point of view. But anyway, we did, and we got in, and it was great because it was it's an American thing. It's not a British thing so much. It's not like, we're not looking to be in the Hall of Fame, but America, it's a big thing. And, once you're there and you're meeting everybody, it was great to meet Justin and John and Graham again and Mike. But other than that, you're part of it feels like you're part of the American scene. You've been accepted. And it is a good feeling, even though you don't think it's going to be. It's kind of blow it off to start with, but then once you do get inducted, you feel great. And again, a lot of people, treat you a little bit differently. He's a rock and roll Hall of Famer. But all that stuff, it's all good. There's nothing wrong with having some kind of award, or it makes you feel good for sure.
Well, I want to thank you for taking the time. People, Denny will be playing November 16th. The trio will be in Boca Raton, the Funky Biscuit. November 30th, he's got a Storyteller's Songs and Stories at the Regent Theater in Arlington, Massachusetts. You can check stuff out that at cysticdreamsfund.com. And then he has a bunch of dates with the Moody Wing. December 5th at the Lavoie, December 6th at my father's place in Roslyn, December 7th at the, what is that? The Idrium in New York.
Somewhere.
He's got Jersey, which is near me, Millville, and he's got the City Winery, which is a brand new place in Philadelphia, which is really cool, and that's December 8th. So go check him out. Google Denny Laine. Look into his music. Listen to his music. Buy his music. Do whatever you have. So people, check him out. He's a Rock and Roll Hall of Famer, and his birthday's the day before mine, so we're both Scorpios, so that's good. And people, check out my website, coopertalk.net. I have over 750 episodes. Email me, Cooper at coopertalk.net, and follow me on Twitter at CooperTalk. Remember, I'm Steve Cooper. I'm only as hip as my guests. Don't forget, drink your water, eat your vegetables, take your vitamins, and I'll talk to you next time.